a very interesting topic for all of you. That's about national perspective, cybersecurity, and privacy in India's digitalization journey. And to talk about this, we will have Mr. Satyanarayana, who's the Chairman, Unique Identification Authority of India. I'd like to speak few lines about him. J.Satyanarayana is a pioneer in the design and implementation of e-government programs and projects in India. Ladies and gentlemen, he's associated with the design and implementation of over 20 major e-government projects at the state and national levels. You'll also be delighted to know he also founded eSeva 1999, a one-stop shop for citizen services in the state of Andhra Pradesh, India. Among the other notable achievements are the conceptualization and design of Passport Seva project for the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, and MCA 21 for Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India, eTAL, a portal that aggregates, analyzes, and provides a real-time dashboard view of the e-government transactions arising from 3,500 e-services across India, and many more to his kitty. Ladies and gentlemen, can we all put our hands together as we are going to be hearing J. Satyanarayana.
Honorable Special Representative of Government of Telangana and Sivaram, Principal Secretary Jayesh Ranjan, and all the distinguished participants. Really, it's my privilege to be here this morning to share some of my thoughts. And I will be considering cyber security and also privacy to some extent at a very high level. And I'm happy that, I was associated with this IT for the last 2 decades. When we started, where we are comfortably sitting here was full of rocks, and the only tower next to this was the high-tech city tower. And from there we started and we came a long way, and Hyderabad is today an international center for cyber activities. So let me quickly run through some of it will be a mix of facts and some perspectives. Ram spoke about, for cybersecurity, the first thing you should know is what is it that you are trying to protect? How big is it? These numbers are really staggering at the global level. As you see, everything is in billions, nothing is even in millions, right? The number of users, the number of transactions that happen on a daily basis, the number of websites that need to be protected, and the number of searches that happen. So this is the kind of gigantic scale at which we are, when we look at it from the global level. Incidentally, I'm reminded that, Global Forum on Cyber Expertise is another organization in Netherlands. I'm on the advisory board, and this is also Global Forum, such a coincidence. So globally, this is what the kind of activity we are trying to address. And what is it that is happening on the cyber threat side? What is its size? Every 15 seconds, there is a significant attack on ransomware. People trying to squeeze money from someone else. And as again Ram mentioned, it is the small businesses which are more vulnerable to this, because while they are doing e-transactions, they don't have adequate wherewithal to protect themselves. So there is an easy prey for cyber attacks. And 6 trillion is the estimated loss due to cyber attacks. Whether it is loss of money or the need to fend oneself, one has to spend money and resources. And also, it's not that we are only seeing the tip of the iceberg. When a security incident happens, we may not even know. And even if we know, we ignore it. We are so busy with other things, we tend to ignore it. So only 10% are reported, and it is the tip of the iceberg, and 90% is underground. So this is the kind of situation we are dealing with, huge and unstructured kind of problem. Now, what is adding to the complexity of the situation from cyber security point of view. While it is all good for the world, these technologies are quite good. They brought, a revolution, a transformation in our lives, and still it's going on. The mobile, which made a lot of difference to all of us. The cloud, which transformed the infrastructure scenario. And then the IoT, which is really all pervasive. So many sectors they are using the sensors and other devices. And then, of course, artificial intelligence and machine learning. A lot of compute, a lot of resources, assets are used in these areas. So these were dimensions when either the cyber security policies for major countries were designed or being designed. They were not considered. They were not on the scene, so to say. They were not very serious aspects to consider. Like we in India formulated the National Cyber Security Policy in 2013, when some of these were still, upcoming ideas. I was Secretary IT in Delhi, in Government of India, when we brought out the first National Cyber Security Policy of the country, which had a multi-faceted approach to cyber security, as we saw at that time. But today, if I were to write again a cyber security policy for the country, probably I would write it totally differently. So the type of responsibility has, changed significantly over these years because of these emerging technologies. Now, one simple question: we all use internet, left, right, and center. Small boy to a 90-year-old. Without internet, you can't imagine how the world would be today. So what is, what has contributed to such a, snowballing explosion of the internet over the short time? So these are the characteristics. If you see that there is a global reach from anywhere in the world, you can access any website if you are on the internet. It is such a beautiful proposition that has been brought, and then it is a general purpose one. Internet doesn't constrain itself to either healthcare or education or transportation or anything. Put anything there, it goes. Because it's so general purpose, it's very popular. Everybody needs it. And importantly, unique identification of each site. I told about 1.9 million websites today. Each one has to have a distinct name so that, and an address with which you can reach. That's how in microseconds you reach that site. And the way of resolving the names also. And then standards, simple standards, TCP/IP and related standards. Right from the day, it was written, there is very little change and it stays. Everybody follows. Collaboration and then free innovation. No one says that, there is no license required when you want to use internet technology and then innovate things. So these are the characteristics. Why I'm saying that these are the characteristics which made it explode, be helpful to the humankind. And the same thing we should see now. In the next slide, I will show a counterpart of that. The concept of IT to ET. We are going from IT, which talks of a system, a defined system for an enterprise, to an ecosystem technology. Digital ecosystem is what is being, the latest buzzword, if you can call it. If it is healthcare, don't talk of a hospital, a system for a hospital management system or anything. The entire health sector ecosystem you need to address. Because that is the way the world is moving. It's much more useful that way, end-to-end basis. So the key thing is we must focus on what is required to protect and to defend and to secure an ecosystem rather than a system. The paradigm of security, the way security policies are written, will have to be rethought in the context of ecosystem. That is the kind of message I want to give. That this digital ecosystem, which is evolving, currently in India, we are working on this. I am chairing a committee or a couple of committees at the national level, where these ecosystems, we have already published, as you are aware, on the National Digital Health Blueprint, which some of you might have read. A huge response has come, very good positive response has come on that. That is, it is looking at health as an ecosystem from Kerala to Kashmir, and from Arunachal Pradesh to Gujarat. So from private sector to public sector, that is called the ecosystem, right? Small hospital practitioner or a big Apollo, doesn't matter. They have to follow just like internet, it doesn't care about the size. Same principles are there behind the ecosystem. So this is what we are currently working on to create the ecosystem, and several countries are doing that. So the short message is that we need to address our security approaches and strategies to meet the requirement of the ecosystems. So it's a significant and new capabilities are required when you are addressing the cyber security needs of an ecosystem versus an IT system. It's of a different type, different genre, and different magnitude, and different type of capabilities are required. And there is, of course, some jumbling of some block here, but when we talk of this cyber, how do you address it? You have these three levels. One at a strategic level, at the enterprise level, and then line of business level, you have frameworks, and actually the policy is at the cutting edge level. Technically, from IT industry point of view, policy is at the bottom level. But what Jayesh spoke about the policy of Telangana, that is rightly otherwise called at the strategic level. So this is these 5 stages exist in any policy, drafting of any policy. Identification, again going back to Ram, what he has mentioned, what are you trying to protect? And what is the threat you are trying to protect against? So start with identification. Then think of protection. What kind of protection measures, hardware, software, and other strategic measures that you need to put in place? And how do you detect when an event or an incident happens? How do you respond to that? How do you address that? How do you mitigate the risk immediately? And then how do you recover from the damage caused by that incident? So this is typically the cycle of cybersecurity. This survives even if there is an ecosystem. Probably this will stay as a principle, and then you need to change the fine print, the details of this. The last I would like to touch upon, because India is known for its software strengths all along. So what we need to focus is, one of the several things to be done in cybersecurity is the code. How do you write secure code? How do you build security by design? How do you hard code security from each when you are designing a project itself? So this is from WASP, the International Institute or Foundation in this area. So I do not want to go into each and every detail, but secure by design, once you follow in every line of code that you are writing, it is engraved in your mind that no, this is the way the line of code or software has to be written, or the hardware has to be configured. These nine principles are like Vedas for the coders and also those looking at security. So I must tell you that having been the chairman of Aadhaar for about 2.5 years, and no longer now, just retired from that, is that the Aadhaar, which is 1.23 billion Aadhaars of this country, identities with our fingerprints and iris, etc., stored there. How is it protected for almost 8-9 years now? No single person could touch our database either in Bangalore or Manesar. We hold them there. So this is because it's secure by design. All these principles have gone into the making of Aadhaar. That's how we feel safe. Lastly, couple of things. CERT is in India, which is a national level asset for us. It's an organization which continuously keeps watch over major incidents, and this is a an annual report from their side that over 2 lakh incidents they handled last year, in addition to sending several alerts. And they do train people in cybersecurity at the national level. It collaborates with the CERTs of all other countries and brings the international knowledge also to the benefit of all the users in this country. I just wanted to give a snapshot of what they're doing. What are we doing in the country? This is only one slide, while there are several other efforts going on. Like the SOC that Jayesh has mentioned, the SOC that government of AP had put up, and several other efforts in that direction. Last but not least is the privacy. Again, it's guided by a set of principles. Security and privacy I see as two sides of the coin. If you are highly secure, probably 90% of privacy concerns are already addressed. There are some outside security as well in this, which are administrative or regulatory in nature. That the consent being, very important part of. Are you taking the consent of the principal or the owner of the data before using that, before processing that, before sharing that information? How do you do all that? Again, going back to Aadhaar, the Aadhaar system has been built, privacy by design. All these principles have been woven into, from day one, 2009, when it was conceptualized. All these principles have gone into it, so it has stood the test of time and the test of scrutiny. So this is where we are going. Net, what I am saying is the problem is huge. The paradigm is changing from IT to ET, and you need to rethink your security and privacy strategies in the context of ETs. And I'm sure that with the kind of talent that is available and working globally on this, in these areas, we'll be sure to. We need not shun technology because there is a security and privacy angle to it. Use it with adequate safeguards and adequate strategies. Then you have best of both worlds. Thank you.